Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of IBDP Simplified. In today's episode, we'll be discussing about the subjects that are offered in Group 6, which is the Arts Group. We also have a set of guest speakers who will be talking about their experiences with the subjects they have chosen in this group. So, without further ado, let's begin. Okay, guys, so now we have Sarah Mehta with us, who is a art HL student. So, Sarah, hi, welcome to our podcast.
Hello.
Okay, Sarah, so could you start off by telling us about your IBDP journey in arts?
Okay, so I chose art because I have been very interested and I've been studying visual arts since I began at Oberoi International. Whenever I had the choice between taking arts, I've taken visual arts. So that's why I wanted to continue this in DP because this is something I want to do
Right.
at university level as well.
Okay, great. So as we're talking about art, could you tell us about like a few different concepts that you guys have covered in arts, or like some different mediums that you guys do?
Yeah, so this year especially in visual arts we're expected to use and experiment with a lot of different mediums. So more than like developing on your skills, it's building a portfolio for college. And to build a portfolio, you have to make sure that you have experience in multiple different mediums, whether that's 2D, 3D, even 4D. A lot of people are doing now in art. So
Okay.
concepts, I think, like there is object study, and object study can not only mean like drawings, it also means like photography, films, and such digital artworks.
Great. So tell me, what does the subject expect from its students? So like, what do you need in to get into art?
So, first of all, it's a wrong concept that you have to be technically skilled to be an art student. You can be interested in art in general. You don't have to be good at art to be an art student. But I also think that generally, like, art is a very difficult subject to score in because it is a very subjective course. We've been having difficulty scoring very high as an average in school because it is a subjective subject.
Right.
And people think that it's easy to score in a subject like art, although right now, even though it is my strength, it is the least I'm scoring out of all of my HLs. So I just think that the entire it's a course that expects a lot out of you, a lot of time. You need to give a lot of time, a lot of effort, because there's your CS, there's your extended essay that if you take art in, then there's your process portfolio, and then there's the curation of your college portfolio. So it's just a lot of expectation.
Right. So, given that obviously right now you're talking about how like you have to do a lot of things in art. So,
Yeah.
tell me how effectively do you manage time? And obviously you don't just have art as your only HL subject. There are two HL.
So one of the things that, like, I think this is a teacher's choice, but our
Right.
teacher has decided, like, not decided, but we're allowed to do multiple artworks in just one process portfolio, which helps you have a numerous amount of artworks to pick from by the end of the year for your exhibition. So I think that helps save up on time versus making an entire new process portfolio for
Right.
the previous thing. But I think that, like, what you really have to manage your time in is creating the artwork itself. Because from this point on, from IBDP, they really look at your technical skills versus just the writing that you've given. So you have to be able to give like a good amount of time to dedicate it just to creating your artworks, because it has to be technically and conceptually a good artwork. So I think that you
Right.
have to time yourself well enough to have that time.
Right. And when we take like all the other subjects also into consideration, like you have
Yeah.
your other two HLs, right? So how do you manage, like how do you give those subjects enough time with arts?
So this has been very difficult for me, especially in the first year of DP, because it was a major transition from grade 12 to grade 11. So I think that so my other HLs are DT and BM. So first of all, DT and art I have been like extremely linked, which is something that I really like. So if you're planning on taking like something related to art, I think DT is a good thing, because a lot of the DT concepts we've been writing about in our art process portfolio for concepts as well. So I think I was able to manage that because the concepts are syncing. In fact, DT and business also sync a lot. So I think that you have to find a good set of subjects that sync well together.
Okay, great. So, obviously, we know that you were a part of the school and like the MYPers as well, and now you're
Yeah.
doing DP.
Yeah.
So, tell us what's the major difference between the MYP arts that you have done and the DP arts that you're doing now?
DP arts is definitely much more rigorous than MYP arts. Like, we did not know what we were getting into. In MYP arts, it was like making multiple amount of slides. There was no like restriction to where you could be. But in DP arts, your entire process portfolio, like throughout this program of DP1 and DP2, can only be around 20 to 25 slides, which is including multiple different artworks, mediums, all kinds of work. So it's very difficult to concise your information and stuff like that. Then there's the CS, obviously, there's the comparative study and all those different components that come in. So I just think that the major difference is the rigor that has come in, and also the grading, because getting grades in MYP in art was easier. And when we've come into DP, there are around uh, like 7 different criterias for art, which makes it
Yeah.
extremely difficult. Being presentation being a criteria alone in itself,
Okay.
you know.
Great. So finally, I would just like to ask you, like, is there any kind of advice that you want to give to people who are willing to choose Art HL next year?
Yeah, I think that if you're taking up art as a subject, you have to give it your best, because it is a very rigorous subject. But if you're actually interested in the work itself and you're ready to give that amount of time, then take it. Also, don't think that you need to be technically skilled in art to take art as a subject. You can take it even if you're not good at drawing or painting. There are multiple different mediums that, like, sir or the teacher that you have will help you explore, so you don't have to worry about that. And also, you have to keep in mind that the hours for art are the most out of any of the subjects, and you have to keep in mind that it's a constant process, and the grades in the beginning of your DP level won't matter, because you will progress, and that's what universities want to see, that you will progress. So don't be like sad if you get like fours and fives in the beginning of DP1 for
Yep.
art.
Great. I think that's great piece of advice, Sarah. Thank you for your time,
No
and
problem.
yeah,
Thank
and
you.
guys, we'll see you in the next half of the episode. Bye bye. Okay, so we have Vian Goel from IBDP1 here, and he's one of the students who has taken Music HL as one of their subjects for the IBDP course. So, hello, Vian.
Hi, Raghav.
Hi, hi, hi. So, obviously, just start by introducing yourself and probably then share your experience about this course.
Yeah, cool, no problem. So, first of all, thank you for having me on your podcast. And second, I mean, me personally, I've been a drummer for about let's say 6 years, and I've been a musician overall for like about 10, 12 years. I've been heavily inclined towards taking music in the future, pursuing it in the future, etc. Um, I am quite athletic. I like to say, playing a lot of sports in school, etc. And yeah, overall things are going pretty well. Taking subjects which I quite rather enjoy in general, and yeah, basically that's it.
Okay, so we know that you have taken music at a higher level. So tell me, what does this subject expect from you as a higher level student, and is there a difference between a SL student and a HL student?
I feel like there is definitely a clear difference between HL and SL because first of all, HL has a lot of like added on topics that you need to cover. So there are a lot of different parts of music theory, etc., which most SS students don't need to take, but HL students do. And so that's one clear difference. Another one like would mainly be the amount of time and rigor it takes. So HL has to put in a lot more effort compared to the SL students, and I think that's because of not only the technicality but also the amount of performances, compositions, and the level at what they have to be. Because certain compositions for HL students have to be at a much higher level than those for
Right.
SL students.
Yeah.
and the teacher will help you with that, but that's mainly the difference.
Okay, so you talked about time management and how in HL you have to like obviously invest more time in the subject. So tell me, like how do you manage your time because you just don't have one HL, you have other two HLs and uh, three more SLs that you have chosen. So tell me, how do you manage time with that?
In terms of managing time, like I think for most art students in general, and especially music students, it's basically made, the reason for taking an art is mainly because of passion, because most students don't take an art unless they have a certain passion behind it. And so I personally feel like when I'm doing music or studying for music or performing, practicing, or composing for music, it doesn't feel as much as coursework as it does as something that helps me with my passion, because when I'm working on music, it's just furthering my knowledge in something that I love and something that I want to pursue in the future. So
Yeah.
I mainly do that. I mainly choose to study music in times when, like between different subjects, like between math and eco, I'll study music, for example, or other intensive subjects.
Okay, so obviously, like in MYP, you had this subject and you've been quite experienced with this subject, but now, obviously, as you know, all the subjects and all the deadlines have been more rigorous. So, how do you manage other subjects as well? Like, I know that you've taken other subjects such as maths, AIHL. So, how do you manage with that kind of like, yeah,
Yeah, okay. So in music, most of your summatives are going to be ongoing, right? So they're
okay,
not going to be on spot summatives as compared to on the spot summatives for like math, etc. Um, so I feel like I manage my time based on studying for like studying for math. I'll like spend or other subjects in general. I'll spend mainly studying for like a higher amount of hours
yeah,
in one particular time span rather than for example music. I will work on music daily, but I
yeah,
won't take, for example, the same amount of time as I would for music, for math, sorry. So it's like mainly for writing more subjects include more writing, right? I
yeah.
focus more on taking more amounts of time studying for them, whereas music I focus on being regular with studying.
Okay, so we all know that you had like a brilliant summer and you went to US for if I'm not wrong, a course, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what would you recommend the current 10th graders to do? Like something like you have done. How can they do things what you have already done? And how is that course helping you today in IBDP?
Yeah, so I feel like it's very important to do a summer course in any summer. So it might not particularly be the 10th grade summer, but
Yeah.
just make sure that doing a summer course is on your list for at least the 11th or 10th grade summer, because it's just a really good experience. Because, for example, for me, I feel like doing a summer course like this really helped me understand the infrastructure and the system behind colleges in the US, right? So I went to Berkeley for music.
Yeah.
So Berkeley College of Music focuses a lot around being able to compose, analyze, play your instrument at a really high level. And so I feel like that really made me understand what it would be like to study a subject that I'm interested in.
Mhm.
And so I think students in 10th right now, they also really focus on either going for internships, trying to get more exposure in general about what you would like to study, and maybe a summer course, or you can do it later on as well. That's fine, but just aim on using it very well.
Okay. So, my last and final question to you is obviously you had taken this subject in MYP as well, and now you're doing it as your higher level in DP. So, what, according to you, is the major difference between the MYP music that we had and DP music?
So specifically in DP music, I feel like it's been based around uh, composition and analysis a lot more,
Yeah.
whereas in and it's a lot of more like self study, self work, etc. Whereas in music, it was a lot of written tests on music theory, etc.
Uh,
And I feel like it's overall just been stepped up a level. So like even in DP, there are times when you need to perform or you need to
Yep.
be in a band, etc., work with others. And I feel like in in MYP that was done at a fairly basic level, and DP is done at of course much higher level. It's done in
Yep.
recitals, solo performances. It's done across. There are even performances which you have to do outside the school, like working with others outside the school, which are mandatory. And I feel like it not only gives you more preparation for uh, college level music, like university level,
Yep.
but also just is in the initial stages a very good blend between MYP and DP music.
Uh-huh.
So I feel like that's one major role that it has.
Okay, just last following question to what you just said. You talked about performances and how important have those performances that you've done in DP, MYP, and even outside school, have they been very important to your confidence today?
I feel like that's definitely true because example I've only had one performance unit up till now.
Okay.
But in that one unit, we had to perform a solo performance for our grade,
Yeah.
and I feel like that's something that because me as a drummer, I usually play in a band, right? Like I have
Yeah.
to have a band around me to play with. But being able to play solo helped me understand what it feels like to be alone on stage and being able to play with confidence alone on stage.
Yep.
And so I feel like that not only helps me in my other performances outside of school, but also helps me gain ground in terms of um, being a solo drummer. Like it helps me understand what it might entail if I'd like to do it in the future, or like being a studio drummer.
Today we have Aniket Agrawal, who's a student of Theatre HL. Uh, and welcome, Aniket.
Hi.
Okay, thank you. So with that, we'll begin. So my first question to you is, because you've taken drama HL or theater HL and DP, what is the expectations of this subject? So what does this subject expect from its students?
Firstly, I think it's a very vast and like a very um hands-on experience. So you have to really put in the hours and really work hard to like score well and to really like enjoy the journey. But it's like very fun at the same time. But you have to work a lot. You have to be committed to the subject, and you have to really like listen to the teacher and listen like everything that she's saying and do what she's saying. Because if you like back up, like if you don't do the work or if you like lose or you don't do it at the same time, then it'll just pile on and then you'll
Yeah.
have a lot of work to do, so you won't be able to complete it at all. So it really expects you to like um, work hard and be committed to the subject, but it's fun as well. So it's not really like English or economics or something where you will like struggle doing it, or where you will like not very find it very boring and theoretical and tedious, but it's fun at the same time. So I think you'll be able to manage it.
Okay, so you talked about how you have to work when the teacher expects you to work and complete everything on time, right? Because obviously you don't want stuff to pile on. So tell me, how do you organize your time, or how do you balance this subject? Because as we all know, this is your HL subject, right? Uh, so how do you balance this subject with your other HL and SL subjects?
Firstly, I think it's like very important to create like a list of things you have to do. Like, cause there are like six subjects in IB plus like TOK, EO, CAS, and E. So you really have to make an action plan for what you have to do today and focus like basically on just like what you have to do today and tomorrow, and not on the long plan because that can get overwhelming and stressful. So just go step by step. So like if day after tomorrow I have to do, or if I have a drama summative and an eco summative, so how I'll go through with it, what
Yeah.
I'll do today to make sure I like do well in the summative.
Yeah.
Plus, like procrastination is I think like the biggest fault you can have, as like
Yeah.
every single IB student will say, because if you like even don't do some work for like 1 week, then a lot will pile on. So
Okay.
yeah, you just have to make an action plan.
So you are recommending people to work on a day-to-day basis, given that it doesn't pile up for everyone, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So now coming back to drama a bit, what are the different concepts that you cover in this subject? Like specifically, which concepts do you learn?
Okay, so one of the main concepts is analyzing different theater companies and different theater professionals. So you
Yeah,
analyze their techniques and how they perform and what they do, so that you can imply that or those production and performance elements in your own performance, and how to like really emphasize and exaggerate your own performance to get the highest standards. So I
yeah,
think you really learn a lot as well, even if you don't want to pursue theater as a major or further, you
yeah.
really learn a lot about other things as well. Like it, I think improves your entire personality as a like it builds your confidence, it builds up
Yeah.
your speaking skills and diction and a lot more.
Okay. So my final question to you is obviously we all know that there is a theater HL and a theater SL. So can you tell us the main difference between theater HL and SL?
I think theater HL and SL has like a very small difference. There are four assessments in HL and three in SL.
Yeah.
That's the only difference. That's why I can add it solo theater piece in HL, but nothing else is different. Um,
Okay.
the solo theater piece is just where you yourself explain or where you yourself do the performance. But like in SL,
Yeah.
you still have collaborative where you get a chance to perform. So I think that's just a very minor difference.
Okay. So these are my set of questions. Any comments that you would like to give for the upcoming 10th graders who might consider choosing theater?
Yeah, I think it's an very overall uh, very overall advice, but just don't procrastinate, because if you procrastinate, you will suffer and a lot of work will pile on and you won't be able to catch up later. So just don't procrastinate.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your time, Aniket. Yeah.
No problem.
All right, guys, so that's it for today. We hope that the interviews were helpful and you learned something about whatever subjects you've chosen.
Please like, share, and subscribe, guys.
And hit the bell icon.
Bell icon for further notifications.
Thank you. Bye bye.